Welcome back. Now, according to Corruption Watch, police corruption is not only a threat to the country's stability, it also leaves the public exposed and feeling that they can't trust law enforcement. Now, the report revealed an increasing trend in attempts to extort money, as well as more soliciting of sexual favours from women. Also reported by Corruption Watch recently, corruption in the police force has overtaken other sectors, and now it tops the list. Bheki Cele is the National Police Minister, and he joins us now from our SABC studios in Pretoria. Minister, thanks for your time this morning and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Sakia. Good morning to listenership of the SA Morning Live.
Now, Minister, it's obviously a very sad indictment that police corruption is not only viewed as a threat to stability, given the corruption and a lack of trust that law enforcement faces, but as the Minister in charge, how do you react to reports such as these?
Well, indeed, we would concede that we have bad elements within our clan, the South African Police, of which we respond. We quite arrest several of them, Sakina. But I always caution to say, you can't say the police are corrupt. For me, you better say some police are corrupt, because there are many good policemen and policewomen that are doing very, very good job. Maybe that's why the prisons at the present moment are 37% overpopulated, and not a single one of those people marched to prison. It's still the same police that they will be taking them there through the processes, the courts, and found guilty and sent to prison. Indeed, there are bad cops, but there are also very good cops.
So, Minister, some people would say that, you know, given how you ran this ship, a very tight ship with the police in 2010 for the FIFA World Cup, people expected things to be better under your guidance. And they say, if anything, it simply seems to be continuing to worsen. How do you plan to turn this tide, so to speak?
Well, not at all. Not at all. I would not agree with that. We are almost a year or 1.5 years that we are around here. The last weekend, Sakina, we took the management, the top management of the country to the bush to work exactly on the things that you are talking about, that we have some experience, we have some referral points, we have done very well. And we even dissected and analyzed proper the crime stats that must help us to change the things. The term of the retreat was called Zizojiga Izinto. For instance, Sakina, it has become a standard that there are 30 top stations that they lead in crime in the Republic of South Africa, almost for 3 years. So the situation, you are simply accepting that there is a pothole that every year you must get in it, and that must be normal, that there is a pothole that every time you must go in it, and get abnormal things to be normal. Those are the things that we have changed. If we know that these police stations are high in crime in the Republic of South Africa, why can't we change that situation? Those are the things that we're working on. There are many gaps that we have found we've closed, and I still argue, seriously so, that this is into after retreating, we've found our way, and things will be better. Starting this financial year, when it comes to stats, will be much better than the last year.
So tell us exactly what you're going to do to improve the situation. And if you could, if all things were equal and you had everything resources-wise at your disposal, what will be the key things that you change?
Let's take the police stations, top 10, 6 of them are in Western Cape when it comes to murder. 30 of them are spread around the country. There are several in KZN, there are several in Gauteng. And the question is, we know these stations, Sakina. We know that 70% of people that are murdered between Thursday evening and Monday morning, where we pick up the dead bodies around about 5, 3, 4 on morning on Monday. So the question then, why would you give your police the leave and off over the weekend when there is more crime around shebeens, around on the streets and all that? So that needs to change. The availability of the police, deployment of the police can't just be normal, that come the weekend everybody goes off. That needs to change. That's one. Secondly, we know these police stations, so the resources must be shifted to those police stations rather than the police stations where there is a less, sometimes zero crime, but you find that there are more cars, there are more police and all that kind of things. Thirdly, you need to send your special forces to those particular areas, including experienced detectives, so that they can be able to work and respond to the high density crime stations. But fourthly, things like laboratory, Sakina, where you test your guns, you test your blood, you test your DNA and all, need to be strengthened. You remember that recently there was a cry about the availability of kits, DNA swabs and all that. That has been put in order. We're fine now. So those are the things that every time you must make sure that they don't get compromised, so that the response of the police, even before the response of the police, they must be able to prevent, investigate, and enforce the law. That's the follow-up. That's a trend we're following, that everybody within the South African police must do his or her work, and then things will be fine.
Now, Minister, recently here on Morning Live, we had the Tshwane Mayoral Committee member for Community Safety and Emergency Services, that's Karen Meyer, and she said some of the SAPS members in Pretoria are involved in the drug trade, and she said they reported this matter. There hasn't been any response from the South African Police Service. She also went on to say that she actually there's footage to this effect. So what is your comment on this?
Well, there will be always these allegations, and as I've said, we concede that there are bad police among ourselves. And then if she has reported or has reported that, I would love to know which police station, which officer. And in Tshwane, our chief police in the district of Tshwane is General Mtombeni, and definitely Mtombeni works very closely with the Metro of Pretoria, of Tshwane. I hope that Mtombeni would know that, and it will be easy with me to check with Mtombeni and take care. If she or he, the MMC, has reported and does not get any joy on that one, there is a provincial commissioner here, Mawela, who's very active. There is Mazibugo, and there is myself. We can take up that matter, because indeed we do want to act on those corrupt police, and as we have done, and we are not going to spare them at all. So, but we need to just work better on the information.
And of course, it's not a problem that's peculiar to Gauteng province. We know of complaints against police officers across the country, and that, of course, once again, just serves to dent the image of the police. And I take your point that we should speak of those who are corrupt, because not all police officers are corrupt. But the public finds it hard to trust the law enforcement officers because so many are corrupt.
Sakina, again, this is not should not be a sweeping statement to say the public. Some members of public, yes, have problem. I was in KZN over the weekend. I went to several police stations because President will be there come Friday. But one thing that is a topical issue as we speak in KZN is the success of the FCS of KZN for last week, where they have sent 35 people in 35 life sentences. That's topical. People that are saying there are police that they do their work diligently, they follow. There is that one guy at Pinetown that had more than 30 the repeat rapes and all that kind of thing. So there are areas where people are very happy with the police, as I would agree that there are areas where are unhappy. In Gauteng, even news this morning, they carry the good work that was done by the police in one of the China depot, where when their confiscated, all faked at the amount of 15 million, and it continues in the CBD in Gauteng. So these things are happening. In Mamelodi, there is a notorious somebody that was arrested together with his gangs and all. And in Western Cape, so again, it's very interesting that the media is not talking more anymore about the murders there, because they've been reduced. Where you used to have 77 people dead a week, last week we had only 22 people dead instead of 77 people dead over the weekend. There are still too many, but there is a progress going on. So there are pockets of excellence, but there are bad police, as it happened last week at Greytown, at Dalton, where there was a shooting between police and the police after the stealing of money in the post office. There are areas like that. There is an operation that happened in Spring or in Durban, where nine suspects were shot when they were trying to bomb the ATMs, because there was good intelligence there. So there is a combination of the two. But ours as the leadership is to say, increase the good one, increase the excellence, and make sure that the police becomes the choice of the people of South Africa, and is the center of excellence. Maybe it's a time to say, after this, we have a march of the male officers, Sakina, and we have invited the female activists to come and talk to them. What do the activists, especially the gender-based violence activists, what do they expect from the police? How should they behave when they come to in the church office to report and all that? It's only the male officers march that will take place at 11 today, and I'll be leading that march to say to our police, get exposed, know what the world is doing there, what is expected out of you. Those are the efforts to make the situation even much better.
Now, Minister, if we can turn for a moment to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zonda, who chairs that commission, he voiced his absolute frustration about the process of classifying documents by the police department, which obviously delays progress in the work of the commission that it's doing. And now, two witnesses at least, testified to this as well. Is there a way to address this issue and to fast track what the commission actually needs?
Well, indeed, it can be done, but there are processes. The minister doesn't just wake up and declassify those documents. There is a committee that is a joint security intelligence committee in Parliament. They have a much bigger say on that thing. That committee exists now. Unfortunately, they don't have a chair at the present moment to work through him or to work through her. As soon as that happened, things that people they request that they must declassify must go to that committee. You can't just wake up and declassify. It's a committee that is very sensitive. It's a committee that you sit down with it. Not only the committee, the IG, which is the intelligence inspector, that you need to sit down and go through that committee. Yes, it can be done, but it is quite a difficult and sensitive process to do.
But one would imagine it's urgent, and just to paraphrase what the Deputy Chief Justice, the chair of that commission, said, he said, if we were serious about tackling corruption, there needed to be clarity on the status of classified documents related to high-profile investigations. So surely it would suggest that there needs to be work done, and work done urgently in this regard.
Without breaking the law, because if you do it otherwise, on its own, it's urgent, we agree, but there is law and there are laws that will be followed and procedures that should be followed. I have just explained that the biggest contributor and the biggest decider on that will be a joint intelligence committee, there where is in Parliament, where both the NCOP and the National Assembly, they sit together. Such matters are taken through them. they can't just be decided anyhow, anywhere, because there are laws, very strict laws guiding that situation. Yes, one will sympathize with the frustration of the judge, but that doesn't mean that then laws must be broken.
Indeed, but would you agree that in some instances people are perhaps using those very laws to protect and circumvent, the rule of law, as it were?
Well, you use them because they are there. Until the laws change, then the situation will change. But so long the laws are there, they need to be kept and be respected by whoever is there, whether you are a judge, whether you are a minister, whether you are a committee. We just need to follow those processes.
And just staying with the State Capture Commission for a moment, let's talk about the crime intelligence whistleblower, Colonel Dhananjaya Naidu's comments at that commission. He alleged that you were involved in the awarding of tenders to Durban businessman Timmy Marimutu during the minister's tenure, during your tenure as MEC for transport in KwaZulu-Natal. So would you care, because at the time you said maybe, after the fact you would comment on this, if at all. What's your take on what was revealed at the commission?
Well, Naidu didn't say I was involved. He said he made assumptions, and the judge was very clear, himself was very clear, that there was a gap. He made assumptions. He has no evidence whatsoever, everything he assumes. And maybe until myself, I speak to the judge when the time comes, it will be good to leave that matter there.
And then just looking at some of the revelations that came before the Portfolio Committee, and once again, one of the issues that was brought forward was that of firearms, police firearms that were not able to be traced. So this is a very serious matter, as the Portfolio Committee also outlined, Minister. What sort of progress are you making in that regard?
Well, indeed, that's a serious matter, that we can lose the guns. Remember, most people that are murdered at the present moment in the Republic of South Africa are murdered through the firearms, and the less number on knives. So, which means if we lose guns and we don't know where those guns are going to, where they are found, and who is using them where, which means we are ourselves contributing to the higher rate matter of the people of South Africa. So it's one thing that we spoke about at length, Sakina, and there is a technology, and we are trying to use IT to be able to trace those guns when they get lost. But more than anything, there are methodologies we're trying to work to prevent and protect those guns getting lost. But also we're trying to increase the consequential management on that people that lose these guns, especially if they have been irresponsible, especially if they have been careless, and we must make sure that there is a consequential management on that. But there are guns that will be lost because our members have been murdered on the street, murdered on duty, murdered when they try to respond, sometimes attack police stations, and as it happened at Ngobo, to get the guns there. But even on that one, we're trying to enhance and make sure that we're making our police stations protected areas, putting some methods, putting some cameras, and make sure that they are safe, and guns there, they are safe. But as you say, at the present moment, we need to be tracing those guns that we have lost. But unfortunately, again, Sakina, there will be some corruption that involves some of our members who will simply sell the guns. You remember, there is somebody called Prinsloo who sold about 2,000 guns out there, though he's in prison, but he has done it. So there are corrupt members that we really need to work on them, make sure that we punish them, but we limit or we eradicate us losing the guns.
And just a final one, Minister, the U.S. Treasury has announced that they have decided to sanction the Gupta brothers for their intention and their intention to immediately freeze their assets. But how are investigations going here on the home front in that regard?
Well, there's a combination of both the NPA and the Hawks. My last report is that from the side of the Hawks, we are continuing, and we would have loved, as the Hawks, to have the G brothers in our hands, but you know that is not the job of the police to bring them back again, is to speak with the Department of Justice. I know there are efforts in one country is where they frequent. There's been the agreement of people brought back from that country back here, though we know that Parliament has not passed that law, though there's been agreement between the executives. We hope that soon we'll be able to see them, and our law enforcement, especially guys from Hawks, they are able to speak to them so that we can get answers and take the matters forward.
Well, thank you so much for your time. National Police Minister Bheki Cele speaking to us from our Pretoria.